No, you are not dreaming. This is a fresh edition of ESPN FC coming your way. Your wish has been granted. You're welcome in advance. Hello, everyone. I'm Alexis Nunes. Come hang with us for a couple of minutes, shall we? Steve Nicol joining me, Shaka Hislop as well. But we've got a full house because we also have Gab Marcotti and Aage Fjortoft to join us to talk about all of the transfer rumors that have been going on. Starting off with Benjamin Sesko. Now, Jan, let me come to you because yesterday on the show, Ale Moreno described him as a player who was a part of all the good we saw at Leipzig last season, but also a part of some of the issues that we saw. Now, for those of us who haven't seen him play much, how good is he?
Well, he's 22. He has got a lot of experience. He played for his country, scored for his country, I guess 16 goals for his country. So very experienced in terms of his age. Good. He's a tall guy. Good technique, and he will take the next step. But before I came on this show, I was thinking, people won't believe me because I'm a strikers union. I will say that this striker is the next big thing. So I called a friend of mine, Alex Rosén, who was the head manager or manager of everything in Hoffenheim for 11 years. And I talked to him about Sesko, and his words, I said, I'm going to go on ESPN, I'm going to describe this player. And he said, this is the next big thing. He has to take the next step. But he will be so great, Jan, just believe me. And I think if Manchester United, as it seems now, he wants to go to Manchester United. And if this should happen for Manchester United, they would have themselves a great striker. And we'll just see how long time they will take. And I guess that's the analysis by Manchester United. Should we go for the young lad from Germany or from Slovenia? Or should we go for a more experienced like Olive Watkins that is already adjusted to the Premier League?
All right, well, with that glowing review, we could probably forget about what Ale Moreno had to say on his analysis. Gab, what about you? Are you buying all that hype that Jan just gave us about Benjamin Sesko?
I mean, we've been hearing about Sesko since he was, 17, 18 years old. I think people were salivating over the fact that this is a guy who, he's tall and lanky, but he's also extremely athletic. He moves very, very well, and he has good technique. He's got a good eye for goal. Now, the question is, how does it all come together? When does it all come together? Last year, I was so excited by the SOS, Sesko, Openda, Xavi Simons, and he never quite really, I think, got to where they wanted it to be. He didn't make that quickly forward. And you look at 22, well, he's old enough to be Lamine Yamal's uncle or whatever. So I think the question is, was Leipzig the right place for him to continue developing further? And from his perspective, is Manchester United the right place? Because, of course, the last bright young striker, center forward, who moved to United for a lot of money was Rasmus Højlund. Certainly, I think if you're United and you're going to make that kind of investment in him, you have to make sure that everything's right. You have to make sure that people are going to be patient. You have to make sure that he fits what Amorim wants to do. And you have to make sure that the pieces around him are in place. In other words, I think you have to really do your homework, but there's no question. I mean, he's a massive prospect, and if you get this right, you've got yourself, and he does take that next step, potentially you're talking one of the top 5 center forwards in the world, if he makes that step forward.
Well, Gab, we're going to talk about Rasmus Højlund a bit later and how this could affect him. But we've also spoken on the show about how Manchester United are trying to have a cautious transfer window because of the bad deals that they've done in the past. When we're looking at the price tag attached to Sesko, it's looking like a lot of moolah. Can Manchester United afford this?
Yeah, you mean afford it and stay within the rules of financial stability? I think that's a legit question. I mean, all we heard from Jim Ratcliffe was pleading poverty and how the club are going to go to the wall if he hadn't made cuts and laid off the tea ladies and the secretaries and whatnot. They're saving themselves some considerable salaries in terms of some of the people who left, and obviously Rashford as well. But yeah, I think it's a question mark. And if you push the boat out to that level, my question also would be, are you not going to invest in the midfield at that point? Is it really going to be, Kobbie Mainoo, Casemiro, Ugarte, and the gang? I mean, is this really what Amorim wants, what Amorim needs at this stage? I'm not so sure. And the other thing is, if you don't get the sequence right here, having already invested in Bryan Mbeumo and Matheus Cunha, you're in a situation potentially where you get Sesko, and then everybody needs you have to go and offload, well, Sancho we already know about, but then Garnacho, but also probably Højlund at that stage. And then all of a sudden, people are going to be in a stronger position. They're going to have the leverage to negotiate you down. And I think that's another, not a good situation, I think, to be in if you're running a club's recruitment department.
I think if I may say that one of the reasons, first you see that you buy the wrong players. Okay, that is a failure of a club like Manchester United. But then you get the second wave when you try to offload them because you can't get money for them. You can't get money in. And I know the Manchester United fans don't like us to compare them with Liverpool Football Club, but Liverpool Football Club will now offload first Diaz, 75 million euro. They will probably do the same with Nunez. Will they get 65 million euro for him? So wrong recruitments, they come in waves. The first wave to get them in, and then the trouble is to sell them again.
All right, Stevie, after everything you just heard now, price tag, his qualities as well, the fact that we know that Manchester United are prioritizing a striker in this transfer window, should they just go for it?
My biggest worry is for Sesko. And quite frankly, you know, successful teams are usually built from the back forward. And certainly successful teams are built in the guts of the team forward. You don't start up front. Look at all the players they're signing. If they sign Sesko, they've signed 3 forwards, basically. You've got to get them the ball. You've got to get them opportunities to score. And what Manchester United have right now in the middle defensively isn't good enough to produce that for those 3 players. As again, if Sesko goes. I mean, if I'm Sesko, I'd be worried that I'm going to stall at Manchester United. You know, you try and, you know, you look at the path that Haaland's had. You know, he's done it the right way. He's built, and then he's joining a team in Manchester City that they're at the top of the tree. No wonder the guy continues to score goals and continues to get better. Is Sesko going to do that at Manchester United? I'm not so sure. And if they do get Sesko, Gab's talking about, you know, financial fair play. So they're not going to have any money to strengthen the middle of the park, strengthen that defence, strengthen in goal. So, yeah, if I'm Sesko, I'm sorry, but I'm going nowhere near Manchester United.
So, added to that, you've already spent north of 150 million in replenishing your squad. You'll probably spend another 75 to bring in Sesko. Speculation about another goalkeeper, which adds on top. I'm not sure you're going to get the 50 back or whatever it is that you paid for Onana, if that's the case. And all of a sudden, if some of this speculation is true about the direction of Manchester United intending to go, you again question profit and sustainability and all the noises you've been hearing from Ineos, etc. So there, to the question, there are a lot of layers to this that, from a business perspective, just don't quite add up. What is a definite cert, though, is Manchester United need an out-and-out striker. And it's a very small market. You see what Newcastle are doing and their interest in Sesko from the time Alexander Isak gets linked with Liverpool. That speaks to how shallow that pool is.
Yeah, and what's your final verdict on this? And what does the player himself probably want? Because as Shaka pointed out, it sounds like Newcastle are also interested in his signature, especially if they do end up losing Alexander Isak to Liverpool.
What we do know is that both Manchester United and Newcastle United have told RB Leipzig they're talking to the team Sesko, so to say. I reported this morning, and I've been told that he prioritized to go to Manchester United. That's the club. If you're going to choose between these two Uniteds, Newcastle or Manchester. Also remember that the director of recruitment is Christopher Vivell. Christopher Vivell, he worked in the Red Bull system. He worked with Red Bull Salzburg. He worked with RB Leipzig. Wasn't very successful at Chelsea as technical director, but now he's back to where he is good at, director of recruitment. And I guess that will play a role for Sesko. So as it stands, he wants to, if to choose between these two clubs, he wants to go to Manchester United.